So I have a new figure from EXO-6, and this is General Chang from Star Trek 6, The Undiscovered Country. I previously did a video on the figure of Captain Sulu from Star Trek 6, and I think it was the least impressive EXO-6 or Quantum Mechanics Star Trek figure that I've ever gotten. I was really unimpressed. Not so with this figure. I think this one is really nice. The other figure that EXO-6 is releasing for Star Trek 6 is Valeris, which I wasn't that, I didn't find the character that compelling, so it was played by Kim Cattrall. So I opted out on that one. General Chang was played by Christopher Plummer, who passed away in 2021 at the age of 91, and I'd say most famous for appearing as George Von Trapp in The Sound of Music, which I think is a legendary film deserving of its acclaim. So let's go through this figure. This figure was expensive. I think this was about $250 for this, so it darn well better be nice. It is nice. Is it worth $250? Well, I'm not sure. Uses a lot of different materials, a lot of soft materials. There is some metal in here, which I didn't think they ever used metal. I believe this is metal for his gun holster. But I do like the usage of different materials. Very soft fabric here, fuzzy fabric. And then this is kind of a plasticky feel to it. Really nice. Very nice. Everything on this I'm impressed by. We'll get a look in here. So I guess Christopher Plummer, for whatever reason, decided he wanted General Chang to look more human. So although he's got the classic Klingon ridges on his head, they're much more subdued. And I remember when I first saw this film being struck at how human looking he was. A little tuft of hair on the back, although this is not individual strands. It's just molded on there. I think it would have been kind of neat if they would have done individual strands. The only thing about the face, because I think that this is a fantastic interpretation of General Chang. And you could see the lines around his eyes, and maybe they could have used a little more shading. On here in this room with the lighting, I think it looks better than in a well lit room. But I am quite impressed. This is one of those ones where if you saw this without context, with, say, a background or something that somebody created, a realistic background, you might think that this was actually from the film and not a figure, because it looks that realistic. This is all plastic. He's got the Klingon designs on there. This is a great character. Now, one of the weird things about this was Chancellor Gorkon, who was his commander, said at one point while they were having dinner with Kirk and his crew that you haven't enjoyed, something along the lines, you haven't enjoyed Shakespeare until you've heard it or read it in its original Klingon. So I'm like, did the Klingons think that Shakespeare was a Klingon? Which is really weird, but what General Chang does is he often quotes Shakespeare. In fact, when they have the climactic battle with the Enterprise, he is constantly quoting Shakespeare. And although it's weird to think that the Klingons might think that Shakespeare was a Klingon, I think it works. And it's very similar to how Khan in The Wrath of Khan would quote Moby Dick. But I like when the villain is having fun, and he was having a lot of fun in his fight with Kirk. So he doesn't come with a lot. He's got two other pairs of hands, and then he's got his pistol, which goes into his holster there. And I will show a couple more things. So we'll put him to the side there, and then I'll just also show him next to Commander Krug. It's played by Christopher Walken. So we have the two Klingon commanders from the original series Star Trek movies. I'm strictly an original series fan, so I really didn't continue on after that. I did for a while with the Next Generation. So to me, these are, I'm not really up on all the other villains, but I think that to me, General Chang and Commander Krug are both two of the best villains in Star Trek. And I think that Christopher Plummer did a fantastic job as General Chang. I will also show real quick in here the box that it comes in. Okay, and I think that again, this, if you didn't know better, you might think that that's an actual photograph of Christopher Plummer in makeup for the Star Trek film. So this box is just about exactly the size necessary for the figure, and not really any more than that. Thank you for that. So it does say on here for ages 15 and up. So these are not for children. I have nothing else from EXO-6 on pre-order at this point. So supposedly they're coming out with more characters from the second Star Trek, Wrath of Khan, but I'm waiting for it because so far nothing other than what's her name? I can't remember the name. The one played by Kirstie Alley. But this one's a winner, unlike Captain Sulu, that I think was terrible. I love Sulu. I love George Takei, but the facial sculpt on that one was a dud. This one is not a dud. So anyway, that's General Chang from EXO-6.